No one expected my billionaire uncle to steal the spotlight and my wife's heart. It all started on a crisp fall afternoon in Vermont, where the rolling hills were dressed in shades of amber and gold. Grandma's wedding was supposed to be a quiet family affair, a celebration of love in her 78th year. I had arrived with my wife, Jenna, wearing my best suit, feeling both excited and oddly nervous. But what no one knew was that my billionaire uncle, Victor Carrington, had flown in from New York with a reputation for leaving chaos in his wake. Victor had always been the type to turn heads, tall, silver-haired, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through you. He had a charming smile, but it carried a certain danger, like a wolf in a tailored suit. I had seen him at family gatherings before, but nothing like today. Today, he was here for Grandma, and perhaps for something else entirely. The ceremony began, and Grandma looked radiant in her champagne gown, smiling like a child who had just discovered a secret. Everyone clapped, everyone cheered except Victor, who was watching Jenna with a look I couldn't read. I tried to shake it off as my imagination, but there was a tension in the air, a silent warning that today wouldn't be normal. Halfway through the vows, Victor moved closer to Jenna, leaning in as if to whisper something. My stomach dropped. Stay calm, I told myself. But my calm shattered when he knelt, not before Grandma, but in front of her, holding a small velvet box. And my wife froze. The entire wedding seemed to pause. The officiant blinked. Grandma's smile faltered. And I realized in that terrifying second that Victor was proposing to Jenna. Not as a joke. Not as a misunderstanding. To her. And the way she looked at him, it was like a secret was about to unravel. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. My mind raced through every possible explanation. A misunderstanding, a cruel prank, some kind of twisted family game. But Victor's eyes never left hers, and Jenna's gaze was locked on him, unblinking. That moment would define everything from here on. It was then that my cousin Michael, always the quiet observer, leaned over and whispered, "You know he's serious, right?" My heart sank. Because if Victor Carrington was serious, then everything I thought I knew about my wedding day, my marriage, and my family would be turned upside down. And just like that, what was supposed to be a simple, heartwarming family celebration had turned into a battlefield of secrets, desire, and unspoken power. Every smile around me now felt like a mask hiding judgment, anticipation, and danger. I realized in that instant, the wedding was over. The game had begun. As the initial shock settled, the crowd murmured quietly, unsure if they should intervene or pretend nothing was happening. I felt Jenna's hand brush against mine, a fleeting touch that was both comforting and terrifying. Her fingers trembled slightly, betraying the calm she tried to project. Victor's smirk widened, as if he already knew the chaos he'd caused, and enjoyed every second that I tried to whisper something to Jenna, words of reassurance or authority, but my throat went dry. Victor leaned closer, speaking softly enough that only she could hear. I couldn't catch the words, but her reaction, a subtle widening of her eyes, a bite on her lip, was enough to make my blood run cold. Grandma, oblivious to the tension, laughed at a joke Michael made, her joy pure and radiant. But in the corners of my vision, I saw him studying her, calculating something I couldn't comprehend. Victor's presence was magnetic. Everyone noticed, but no one dared challenge him. And I realized just how outmatched I was in influence and charisma that I excused myself to grab a drink, trying to regain composure. The crisp Vermont air outside was refreshing, but the quiet only amplified my thoughts. Why now? Why here? And most importantly, why my wife? Every instinct screamed at me that Victor's interest was more than casual, more than playful. Michael caught up with me, eyes scanning the party through the windows. "You need to see this," he said, pulling me back inside. I followed, and that's when I saw it. Victor handing Jenna a small, antique key, his tone intimate, almost conspiratorial. It wasn't jewelry, it wasn't money. It was a key to something she clearly recognized. My heart pounded. That key had history, family history I wasn't fully aware of. Victor had been playing a long game, threading secrets into this seemingly innocent wedding. The more I watched, the more I realized that Jenna's hesitation wasn't about me. It was about understanding the weight of what Victor just offered. Then the whispers started. Guests leaning into each other, murmuring, trying to decipher the scene. Someone muttered about old family fortunes, hidden inheritances, and secrets only Victor would know. I couldn't believe it. This wedding was turning into a battlefield of power, secrets, and unspoken alliances. Jenna finally looked at me, eyes filled with both guilt and fear. I didn't expect this, she murmured, voice barely audible. But the look in Victor's eyes said otherwise. He had expected it, orchestrated it, and now he was watching the effects unfold. I knew I had to act, but how do you confront a man who can charm a room and bend reality to his will? And as the sun began to set over the Vermont hills, painting everything in gold and amber, I realized this was no longer just a wedding. It was a chessboard, and Victor had already moved his first piece. Every step from here on would be a test of courage, trust, and cunning. After the ceremony, the reception moved into the grand Vermont estate where Grandma had lived for decades. Crystal chandeliers reflected on polished hardwood floors, but I barely noticed the elegance. My eyes were locked on Victor and Jenna. He had handed her the key during the ceremony, and now, tucked in her clutch, it glinted like a secret waiting to be unleashed. Victor moved through the room like a predator, shaking hands, exchanging pleasantries, but every glance he threw at Jenna was calculated, loaded with meaning. It was impossible to ignore. The entire room seemed to bend around his presence. And I, despite my best efforts, felt like an invisible observer in my own life, that I pulled Jenna aside near the grand staircase, hoping for a private moment. "What's in that key?" I whispered. Her eyes flicked toward Victor, then back at me, conflicted. It's complicated, she said. It's not just money, it's something from his past, something tied to your family. Before I could press further, Victor appeared beside us, as if conjured out of thin air. "Curiosity is dangerous," he said smoothly, his blue eyes twinkling with mischief. "Some doors are better left closed." He gestured to Jenna's hand, the key between her fingers. The entire room seemed to shrink around him, the music dimmed, even the laughter of guests fading into whispers. Jenna hesitated. Victor's hand hovered near hers, not touching, but the suggestion was clear. "This key, it unlocks something important," he said. "Something your family has forgotten." And in that instant, I realized this wasn't just about him wanting Jenna. It was about power, legacy, and secrets buried for decades. Michael appeared behind us, whispering urgently, "That key, it's tied to Grandma's inheritance. Victor knows things no one else does. He's testing you." My heart raced. The key wasn't just a trinket. It was leverage, a weapon, a revelation waiting to explode. As the evening progressed, I couldn't shake the feeling that every smile around me was masking judgment or fear. Guests seemed to instinctively avoid Victor, sensing the silent game he was playing. And Jenna, she was caught in the crossfire, unsure whether to fight, flee, or submit. Then it happened. A distant cousin, young and impulsive, accidentally dropped a champagne glass near Victor. It shattered, echoing through the hall. Victor's gaze snapped toward the sound, and in that split second, Jenna dropped the key. Intentionally or not, I couldn't tell. It slid across the floor toward Victor, who didn't move to pick it up. That moment revealed everything. The key wasn't just a symbol, it was a test. Victor had wanted to see her choice, to measure loyalty, courage, and desire. And I realized something terrifying. Even if I thought I knew my wife, and even if I thought I knew my uncle, I had no idea which side she'd choose. The reception had barely settled after the key incident when Victor suddenly rose from his seat. The room fell silent. He stepped forward, each movement deliberate, his presence filling the hall like a storm rolling in. Guests instinctively leaned back, sensing something monumental was about to unfold. My heart pounded in my chest. Victor approached Jenna with that signature smirk that always unnerved me. He kneeled, my stomach twisted, in front of her. At first, I thought it was some kind of taunt, a theatrical display to humiliate me. But when he opened a sleek velvet box, revealing a ring that shimmered like liquid gold, the hall gasped. Jenna froze. Her eyes darted between me and him, caught between fear, disbelief, and something else I couldn't name. I wanted to yell, to run, to claim what was mine, but my voice failed me. Victor's calm confidence made it impossible to interrupt, impossible to assert control. Grandma gasped, clutching her pearls, her joyous celebration collapsing into confusion. "Victor, what are you doing?" she asked, voice trembling. But Victor didn't answer her. Instead, he looked directly at Jenna, his gaze locking her in place, as if he could read her every thought. I finally found my voice. "Stop this!" I shouted, moving toward them. But every eye in the room seemed drawn to Victor, as if gravity itself bent around him. He didn't flinch, didn't hesitate. "I only ask for what she already knows belongs to me," he said softly, almost intimate. Jenna's hand shook as she reached for the ring, her lips parted as if to speak. But Victor's words froze her. This isn't just a proposal, it's a revelation. A secret that will change everything you thought you knew about this family. My heart sank. The key. The inheritance. The power. Everything was colliding in one devastating moment. Michael's voice broke through my panic. "Don't let him manipulate her," he whispered sharply. But the hall was silent, the air thick with anticipation. I realized that this wasn't about stopping a proposal. It was about surviving the revelation that was about to follow. Then it happened. Jenna whispered Victor's name, and the hall froze again. Not a single person moved. Victor smiled knowingly, fully aware of the shockwave his next words would unleash. And that's when the secret hit like lightning. Jenna's father, the man who raised her, had a connection to Victor none of us had ever known. Gasps erupted. Whispers spread like wildfire. And I stood there powerless, as the world I had known unraveled. The wedding wasn't just a celebration anymore. It was the stage for a family secret, a billionaire's game, and the kind of betrayal that could destroy marriages, legacies, and hearts. The room was still buzzing with tension, guests frozen in a mix of awe and disbelief. Victor straightened, his calm authority slicing through the chaos. "It's time everyone knew the truth," he said. His voice carried a weight that silenced even the whispers. My stomach churned. Whatever he was about to reveal, it wasn't just a story, it was a reckoning. Jenna's hands gripped the key tightly. I realized, in that moment, that the key wasn't just a symbol of inheritance, it was proof of something far more personal. Victor stepped closer, eyes never leaving hers. "Jenna," he said, "you're not just my niece-in-law. You're the rightful heir to a part of this family you never knew existed." The room fell silent. I felt my knees weaken. Grandpa's will? Family secrets buried for decades? And Jenna, the woman I married, was at the center of it all. Her expression shifted from fear to realization as pieces of her past clicked into place. The key wasn't just symbolic, it unlocked her birthright. Michael grabbed my arm, whispering urgently, "Do you see it now? That key. Victor has been waiting for this moment for years. He knows the family legacy, and he knows she does too now." My heart raced. Victor's intentions weren't malicious, or maybe they were, but they were strategic. Every move he made had been calculated. Grandma, still trying to make sense of the moment, clutched her bouquet, her eyes misty. I thought everything was simple," she murmured. Victor smiled gently at her, his tone softening. "Love, legacy, and loyalty are never simple, Grandma. But tonight, the truth will set things right." Jenna finally spoke, her voice trembling but clear. "All this time you knew? You knew who I really was?" Victor nodded. "Yes. And I needed to see if you were ready to claim it, or if you'd let it slip away." My blood ran cold. This wasn't just about money. This was about power, identity, and trust. I stepped forward, finally finding my voice. "Victor, this isn't a game. You can't manipulate her life like this." But he only shook his head. "I'm not manipulating. I'm revealing. The rest is her choice." His words hit like ice. Suddenly, the entire wedding transformed from celebration to proving ground. Every glance, every smile now carried weight, consequence, and potential betrayal. Then came the final revelation, one that no one expected. Victor revealed a hidden safe in Grandma's study, one that only Jenna could open with the key. Inside were documents, heirlooms, and letters proving her lineage. She was not just a guest at the wedding. She was family, a hidden branch with claim to assets, influence, and a legacy buried for decades. The room erupted in whispers, gasps, and shocked exclamations. I looked at Jenna, her face a mixture of awe, disbelief, and dawning power. Victor's plan had worked. He had shifted the balance of the family, and the key had been the final instrument of revelation. But in that moment, I realized something crucial. This wasn't just about inheritance. It was about love, trust, and survival in a family where power was a weapon. The ballroom lights reflected off crystal chandeliers, but the sparkle felt sinister now. Guests were murmuring, half in awe, half in fear. I tried to grab Jenna's hand, to pull her aside, but Victor was already moving closer, his calm, commanding presence cutting through the crowd like a knife. Every step he took was deliberate, like a predator circling its prey. "Jenna," Victor said, voice smooth but heavy with authority, "you've seen the truth. You've seen what's yours. Now, what will you do with it?" His gaze bore into her, and I felt the room shrink around us. Every whisper, every glance felt magnified. It wasn't just a question, it was a challenge. Jenna looked at me, and for the first time all night, I saw hesitation. Not fear of Victor, but confusion, torn between loyalty to me and the legacy she had just uncovered. I need a moment, she whispered, clutching the key tightly. I nodded, trying to hide my panic, but deep down I knew this was a test I couldn't win by force. Victor stepped closer, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. Your choices tonight will define your future. And trust me, this family has seen far too much hidden. It's time someone like you took control. My fists clenched. He wasn't just testing her. He was trying to manipulate her, bending her sense of loyalty and love. Michael, sensing the rising danger, grabbed my arm. Don't let him isolate her. He's trying to make her doubt everything. Your marriage, your love. I knew he was right, but the room felt like quicksand. One wrong move, and everything could collapse. The wedding, my marriage, my family. I confronted Victor directly, my voice shaking but firm. Stop this. You've had your chance. Leave her out of your games. For a moment, his calm demeanor faltered, not out of fear, but amusement. Games? He said, a smile touching his lips. This isn't a game. This is survival. Power. Truth. And you are not ready to face it. Then came the shock. Victor revealed a sealed envelope he had been holding since the ceremony. He handed it to Jenna, who hesitated, then opened it. Inside were letters and documents proving something I never expected. My family had tried to hide her birthright for years. The revelation hit like a punch. Jenna's claim wasn't just legitimate, it was undeniable. The guests gasped, whispers spreading like wildfire. I could see the doubt flickering in Jenna's eyes. Doubt not of me, but of everything she had known. Victor's plan was working perfectly. The entire ballroom had become a stage for revelation, manipulation, and emotional warfare. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Victor wasn't just an uncle or a billionaire or even a manipulator. He was a master strategist. Every move, every smile, every whisper had been designed to test loyalty, love, and courage. And now, the most difficult decision of Jenna's life lay in front of her, and I had to stand ready for whatever she chose. The ballroom was silent, the kind of silence that presses against your chest. Jenna stood in the center, key and documents trembling in her hands. Every guest held their breath. Victor's piercing gaze never left her, calm yet expectant, like a predator waiting for prey to make a move. My heart raced. I knew the next moment could define everything. She turned slowly, her eyes meeting mine, and I felt both hope and dread. I have to do what's right, she whispered, her voice breaking slightly. Victor's smile widened, almost imperceptibly, sensing victory, or perhaps admiration. Every second stretched into eternity. Then she made the choice that stunned everyone. Instead of handing the key to Victor, she placed it on the table between us and said, "This is ours. All of it. Together." Gasps echoed through the room. Even Victor blinked, the first crack in his composed demeanor. Victor leaned back, a slow smile spreading. "Interesting," he murmured. "I expected fear, hesitation, but not unity. Very well. You've passed the first test." My hands shook as relief and anger collided. Relief for Jenna's loyalty, anger at the game Victor had forced us to play. Michael leaned over and whispered, "I've never seen anyone stand up to him like that. You need to be ready. He respects strength, but he'll test you again." I nodded, realizing the battle wasn't over. Jenna had made her choice, but Victor's games were far from finished. Grandma, still bewildered but proud, stepped forward. "I never imagined a wedding could be so dramatic," she said, clutching her bouquet. Her voice carried a mixture of amusement and disbelief. Victor inclined his head politely, acknowledging her presence, but his focus never wavered from Jenna. Jenna turned fully to Victor now, standing tall. "I am grateful for the truth you've shown me," she said. "But my life, my love, and my choices are my own. I will not be manipulated." Victor's smile softened into something almost respectful, a rare acknowledgement of her courage. Then came the twist. Victor stepped aside and gestured toward the documents she had uncovered. "Everything here is yours," he said. "Not because I give it to you, but because you proved you are worthy. Take your legacy and protect it well." The room erupted into applause, relief, and awe that I finally exhaled. Jenna turned to me, smiling through tears. "We did it," she whispered. And in that moment, I realized something profound. Love, loyalty, and courage could stand against even the most formidable of forces, even a billionaire uncle. The applause from Jenna's bold choice still echoed faintly through the grand ballroom when Victor raised a hand. Silence fell again, heavier this time. Every eye turned toward him, curiosity and tension intertwining. His expression was unreadable, calm yet electric with anticipation, and I knew this was the moment he would pull the ultimate card. "Everyone," Victor began, his voice smooth but commanding, "there's something you all need to know, something that changes everything you thought you knew about this family." My heart skipped. I felt a cold sweat trickle down my back. I knew that whatever he revealed could destroy more than just the evening. It could destroy us. He paused, letting the silence build tension like a drawn bowstring. Then he spoke the words that made the room stop breathing. "Jenna, you are not just the heir. You are my niece, my brother's lost daughter." Whispers erupted instantly. Gasps, hands over mouths, and shocked eyes turned toward her. My head spun. Jenna staggered back slightly, clutching the key and documents like a lifeline. What do you mean?" she stammered, her voice barely audible over the rising murmur. Victor stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Your father, my brother, hid the truth from you to protect you. But now the legacy, the fortune, and the family history, it all belongs to you." I felt like the floor had been ripped from under me. Not only was my wife caught in Victor's manipulations, but her very identity had been reshaped in front of me. Every memory I had of her, every shared moment, every trust, suddenly carried a layer of revelation I wasn't prepared for. Michael stepped beside me, whispering urgently, "This isn't just a game, it's legacy and bloodline. Victor's revealing it this way is strategic. He wants everyone to see, to respect her claim." I realized the magnitude. Victor had orchestrated this entire night to ensure Jenna's inheritance, power, and position were undeniable. Jenna finally turned to Victor, tears in her eyes but newfound resolve on her face. "So everything I thought I knew about my family, my life, was a lie?" Victor nodded solemnly. "Not a lie, Jenna. Just the truth waiting for the right moment. And tonight you claim it." The room erupted into mixed reactions. Shock, applause, awe. Grandma, still trying to process everything, whispered, "I never imagined." Victor's eyes met mine briefly, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of respect, or was it a challenge? He had tested loyalty, courage, and love, and now the final layer of power and revelation had been unveiled. And as Jenna held the key, the documents, and her newfound legacy, I realized one truth. Nothing at this wedding would ever be the same again. Victor had not just revealed secrets, he had rewritten the story of our lives. And the question now was simple but terrifying. Who would survive the fallout? The revelation hung over the ballroom like a storm cloud. Jenna, gripping the key and documents, looked like she could crumble or conquer the world in the same instant. Every guest was frozen, unsure whether to celebrate, recoil, or intervene. My mind raced. Her entire identity had shifted, and I wasn't sure I was ready to accept it. Jenna turned toward me, eyes filled with tears but sharp determination. "I need you to trust me," she whispered. Her voice was steady, yet trembling beneath the weight of revelation. I wanted to nod to reassure her, but the truth of Victor's orchestrations left me both furious and in awe that Victor's calm voice cut through the tension. "You see, everything tonight was to prepare you for loyalty, courage, and the understanding that family is more than blood. It is also choice." His words landed like a challenge, and I realized the final test hadn't been about inheritance. It had been about us. I grabbed Jenna's hand, feeling the weight of both fear and relief. "We face this together," I said. She nodded, leaning into me, and for the first time that night, I felt like we were a unit, an alliance strong enough to face Victor's games and whatever else was hidden in our family's shadows. Michael stepped forward, speaking quietly to me. "Victor respects strength, yes, but he's unpredictable. Be ready for anything. This isn't over." I swallowed hard, knowing he was right. Victor had set the board, and now we were forced to play, carefully, strategically, and together. Grandma, still trying to comprehend everything, whispered softly, "I just wanted a wedding." Her words broke through the tension, and for a moment, I realized how much chaos Victor's manipulations had caused. But seeing Jenna stand tall, clutching her legacy and identity, reminded me that some truths, no matter how explosive, could also bring empowerment. Victor finally stepped back, his smirk replaced with a subtle nod of approval. "You've passed, both of you. But remember, power comes with responsibility. Trust, loyalty, and courage will define the next chapter of this family, and I'll be watching." The weight of his words lingered like smoke, reminding us that tonight's revelations were just the beginning. As the night progressed, the wedding resumed, but nothing was the same. Conversations were hushed, glances were loaded with suspicion or admiration, and Jenna and I navigated the space with a new sense of awareness. The key, the documents, and the truth were ours, but so were the challenges they carried. Finally, I pulled Jenna aside, away from the crowd. "Are you okay?" I asked. She smiled, faint but genuine. "I've never been more sure of who I am, or who we are. Victor may have revealed the truth, but we choose how to live it." And in that moment, I realized the power of love, unity, and courage against even the most calculated manipulations. The ballroom was alive with tension, yet under it simmered a strange sense of awe. Jenna held the key and the documents close, her posture radiating both power and vulnerability. I felt a mix of pride and lingering fear. Victor's games weren't over, but we had survived the night's most dangerous trials. Every guest seemed to sense the weight of the revelations, the kind of secret that could change family dynamics for generations. Victor stepped forward one final time, his presence commanding attention. "Tonight wasn't about weddings or parties or applause," he said. "It was about truth, courage, and the choices that define us. Jenna, you have proven yourself worthy, not only of your legacy but of your life, your love, and your family." His piercing gaze softened just enough to reveal the rarest thing, pride. Jenna's hand tightened around mine. "I understand now," she said softly, voice steady. "The key, the documents, the truth, it's not just about wealth or power. It's about us, the family we choose, and the legacy we want to create together." I felt relief, hope, and a surge of emotion I couldn't hold back. Michael approached, smiling faintly. "Victor may test you again, but tonight proves that together, you can survive anything." I nodded, realizing the magnitude. Jenna and I were no longer just a married couple at a wedding. We were a united force, ready to face secrets, manipulations, and challenges head-on. Grandma, finally understanding the night's chaos, laughed softly through tears. "I wanted a wedding, but I got a legend instead," she said. Her words broke the tension, and even Victor chuckled quietly, a sound rare enough to catch everyone off guard. Then Victor approached Jenna, handing her the key one last time. "Keep it," he said simply. "Not as a symbol of wealth, but as a reminder that truth, courage, and love will always be more powerful than fear or manipulation." Jenna nodded, eyes shimmering with gratitude and understanding. The guests cheered as the tension finally dissolved. Music swelled, laughter returned, and the wedding transformed into a celebration, not just of marriage, but of resilience, loyalty, and revelation. Jenna and I danced together, holding tightly to each other, the key and documents safely tucked away but never forgotten. As the night drew to a close, I realized a profound truth. The billionaire uncle, the family secrets, the inheritance, all of it mattered less than what we had gained: trust, courage, and unity. Victor had tested us, yes, but ultimately, love and loyalty had won. Finally, as we stepped outside into the crisp North American night, the key glinted under the stars. It wasn't just metal. It was a symbol of everything we had survived and everything we were now ready to build. The wedding had ended, but our story, the real, untold, unstoppable story, was only just beginning. If you loved this story of secrets, love, and courage, comment below. What would you have done if your life and legacy were put to the ultimate test?